Hello there. Once again, you decide to take another revealing peek back into history.
What famous date shall I set it to today?
Once again, it's time for Throwback Thursday, a second chance to look at some truly awful podcasts. No, wait, a second chance to see how far Vicis Interimo has come over the last 8 years. New episodes will be released pretty much weekly, but Thursdays I've reserved for throwbacks to see how far we've come. A lot of the information on here no longer applies, whether that be businesses or links that may not work anymore, so be advised of that. But again, I want to thank the patrons that we have at this time, though they may not have been here the first time these episodes were recorded. I am thanking them again because they're helping us move forward with our new episodes. And those are patrons such as At Lonely Bob, Big Al V, and Goldafish. In the meantime, I hope that you enjoy what you hear.
Hello everyone, this is Matt from DeadLantern.com's world-famous Splattercast. I'm here to let you know that the 3rd annual Splat Academy Awards are just around the corner, and we invite all of you to participate and help make this the biggest award show yet. The Splat Academy Awards honor the best films, performers, and moments that the horror genre had to offer in 2009. And once again, we bring together over 20 of the best horror podcasters on the internet to take part in the celebration. Appearing in this year's show in no particular order: Dread Media, Motion Picture Massacre, Zombie Girls, Just Another Movie Podcast, Horror Etc., Drunken Zombie, 19 Nocturne Boulevard, It Came From the Basement, Midnight Podcast, Mail Order Zombie, The Midnight Horror Show, The Dark Hours Podcast, Horrorphilia, The Sleepy Cast, Slackers Ate My Neighbors, B Movie Cast, The Graveyard Show, Dinner for Fiends, and Night of the Living Podcast, Killer Reviews, Cheap and Dirty Podcast, and Blood, Bullets, and Broads, The Arrow in the Head Podcast. The awards will take place on March 8th, episode 173 of the Splattercast. But in the meantime, you can get involved by letting your voice be heard. Voting for all categories is open to the public beginning February 1st. You can visit DeadLantern.com for an official ballot. Voting ends March 1st, so you should have plenty of time to make those informed decisions that every voter needs. In addition, we invite you to take part in the ceremony itself. We are honored to present Mr. Joe Bob Briggs with a Lifetime Achievement Spooky for his contribution to not only horror, but all of B cinema. We will be creating a montage of fan memories, reactions, and thank yous, which will introduce Mr. Briggs before he accepts his award. So tell us why you love Joe Bob Briggs by leaving us a voicemail at 206-350-9636 and be a part of the show. It's going to be a lot of fun. Now, everybody at DeadLantern.com wants to thank the presenters and the fans who always make the Splat Academy Awards such a fun event. And don't forget to visit DeadLantern.com beginning February 1st for an official ballot and to leave a voicemail for Joe Bob Briggs. Thanks again, and we'll see you on March 8th for the celebration.
Banks and banks of humming machinery. I've never seen so many knobs. We're going to have to do something, Charlie. Try pushing that button now. No. How about that one? No, not that one either. I know. I'll try pushing this one.
It's going to be hard to talk about.
Oh, okay.
Maybe not.
All right. Welcome to 30 Minutes to Kill. Hi, and welcome to episode 12 of Vicis Interimo. If this episode seems a little rushed, it's because I'm going to try to stick to that 30-minute limit. We've got a few changes coming up. In fact, at the time of this recording, I'm not even sure exactly which movie I'm going to be reviewing, but there's a chance that I might be reviewing two. So first, let me get this thing started by saying a huge thank you goes out to Jane from Dublin, Ireland. You're one of two of my listeners there. So yeah, there's actually somebody else there that's not you that's actually listening to this. Anyhow, Jane, thanks for picking up our T-shirt. She came across the listing that I had up on eBay, and though I don't often ship internationally. Since Jane asked nicely, I was happy to send that out. Another thank you goes to Gray from the Dark Hours podcast, and I'm going to put that in the show notes. Gray sent me an email. I'd actually contacted Gray because I heard him on the Cadaver Lab podcast. You know, they had some changes over there, and when I heard Gray's segment on there, I thought I should contact him, listen to his show. Definitely enjoyed his format and the things that he talks about. Contacted him and asked him to listen to my show and give me some feedback, and that's just what he did. So he listened to my episode on feed, and said he liked the show format and the fact that it was short and easy to pick up and listen to without a huge time investment. So that's kind of cool. I'm going to try to, like I've said, I'm struggling going over here these last few episodes. I'm going to try really hard to keep that down to that 30 minutes. He went on to give me some other technical advice, which I appreciate. I'm not going to bore you guys with that, though. But anyhow, yeah, thank you very much, Gray. I hope you're listening to this episode as well as the other one. In the interest of time, I'm going to cut this segment short so that we can get right into the reviews. I'm afraid we're going to run a little bit long, and I'm trying really hard not to let that happen. Hi, Laurie. How are you tonight?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing fine. Well, we're here to talk about two different movies. The first one we're going to talk about is Night of the Demons. Now, we're going to limit this review to just about 10 minutes, and we've already been talking for about 20 seconds now, so go ahead and spit out anything you want to say that you absolutely want heard about that movie first. We'll kind of work in a backwards order. I'm trying to limit myself to a 30-minute episode again, like I intended from the beginning, and again, I burned another 20 seconds. So, what did you think of Night of the Demons?
Well, I actually enjoyed it quite a bit.
Had you seen it before?
No, actually, I hadn't.
It's actually hard to believe, isn't it?
Yes, it is, because I watched a lot of horror movies in the 80s, and I don't know how that one got by me.
Well, this was at the end of the 80s. It's had the feel of an earlier movie from that time, but it was actually, year of release was 88 on that one.
Right.
So this actually was a movie that came out after I was out here in California. So one of the places where it opened, I think it had a limited release, and Detroit was one of the places where it was first shown, that I believe, according to the information that I got here on the computer. So yeah, maybe we just didn't catch it because it was in limited release at that time. But anyhow, can you give us a synopsis of what the movie was about?
Sure, why not? Well, it was kind of the usual typical formula, I think. You know, a bunch of teenage kids going out to party in a scary location, getting into trouble, obviously. Mm-hmm. You know, unleashing a demon while they're in this, I guess it's an old funeral home. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's it in a nutshell.
Yeah, I think that pretty well sums it up. And we didn't really see anything. I started to say we didn't see anything unique or unusual in this one because it seemed to follow the formula. But then again, there's the scene with the lipstick.
Yes, that was a little strange.
I don't know that it served the story, but it was such a disturbing image that I'll take that with me for quite some time.
Yeah.
Yeah. They never quite got back to
no, they didn't.
What was going on there, but I think that was just kind of a gratuitous scene. But wow, it worked for being unsettling, that's for sure.
Yeah, I think they were like, hey, this would be a cool effect, let's do it. I guess it sort of suited that character. Each character, as they were possessed, kind of kept their own personalities. You know, that girl was very into her looks and makeup and making sure she looked perfect all the time. It doesn't explain what happened, but it explains the prop, at least, that she uses. But
yes, indeed. Well, if you don't know what we're referring to, I would say the movie is worth checking out just for that scene.
I would not go that far.
Okay. Well, that's one of the things about this movie. There are lots of boobs in it. Well, not a lot, a few.
There were?
Well, yeah, and there weren't any real ones, but at any rate.
I was going to say it's arguable whether they were, like, don't tune in just for the boobs, please. You'll be unhappy.
Well, I think there's enough other things going on.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, let's not get hung up talking on just that.
No. But,
because it was definitely a fun movie. It totally had that 80s feel to it. It was, I don't know if it was trying to be comical, but it just kind of was. Sort of had that silly Fright Night feel to it, which I love Fright Night. That's still one of my all-time favorites.
Right.
From that era. It wasn't quite Fright Night. Absolutely. There's only one of those. You know, and that one, I think, was intentionally comical, but this one had a lot of those kind of elements, kind of had that feel to it.
Well, it definitely did, and it had also a cast of characters that were certainly the archetype. The girl that we were discussing earlier that had with the lipstick, her name was Suzanne in the movie. She definitely played the slut. There was Angela that was the kind of the freaky gothic girl that was there. We had the preppy jock. We had the hot-headed Italian guy. We had the token black guy represented in there, the goody two-shoes. Each one of the characters definitely seemed to fit the part that they played, for sure.
Are you sure that guy was Italian?
I am. Well, I'm not 100% sure, but according to the things that I looked up online, as a matter of fact, there's a website dedicated to the movie reviews, Shadow B Movie Graveyard, Shadows B Movie Graveyard, and they have a breakdown there of each of the characters, and it's listed Sal as the hot-headed Italian, a.k.a. the bad boy.
Well, now, do you remember when we were watching it, and we said something about him being Italian, but then didn't we notice his name? Like, he had his last name, anyway.
I don't remember.
I'm getting off on a whole nother... Okay.
That's okay.
Whatever he was, was...
Yeah.
Hot-headed, huh? Interesting.
Yeah,
He was more like the rebel. I wouldn't say he was a hot-headed Italian.
Really?
No, you know who was more hot-headed was that dorky jock guy, like the main,
Stooge?
No. He was a jock?
Oh, the jock guy. I'm Jay, the preppy boy.
Preppy.
Yeah.
Whatever. Yeah, he seemed to have anger management.
Yes, he did. Definitely.
Sal, for me, was definitely one of the more likable characters, but I guess I always loved the rebel. Anyway.
Anyhow.
That aside.
Well, what did you think? Is this a movie that you would recommend to somebody?
You know what? I would absolutely recommend it to someone who is a fan of this type of movie from this time.
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of horror movie lovers of today that like all the stuff that's coming out now would probably think it was dorky or lame or whatever. But if you're a fan of 80s style, those old horror movies, the ones that were kind of goofy, absolutely. Because, yeah, it was fun. It was a fun movie. It was very entertaining.
The only complaint that I might have with it would be the last third of well, I won't say the last third. I'm going to say the closing part of the movie, though, maybe the third act of it. It maybe ran a little bit long. What do you think?
Yeah, I had a feeling that's what you were going to say.
Yeah,
it does slow down considerably when it's down to the last couple people trying to get out, and it's like, okay, I could only watch them walk down halls for so much longer,
Right.
Going down that hall, looking around those corners, it's like, okay, something needs to happen here. But I was able to get past that.
Yeah, I think this is a movie you could throw on if you've got a couple of people over on a Saturday afternoon or Sunday night or whenever you're just hanging out, and you guys want something to laugh at and kind of enjoy that doesn't necessarily require all of your attention, unlike maybe some of the other movies that we may talk about or in the future or what have you and stuff. This just seems to be like a fun, good time kind of movie.
Definitely, yeah.
What, was there anything else in particular you had to say about it?
Not that I can think of.
Okay.
I thought it was interesting how it started and ended, like, because, you know, it started with something totally unrelated to the story, the old man out on the street